Oh, yeah. Is it Saturday already? Have we made it through yet another week of Star Wars news? Probably one of the biggest weeks of the entire year, with Starfighter starting filming on Thursday, giving us the cast for Starfighter, and the Mandalorian and Grogu movie being rumored to be a trilogy. But we got bad news today. Some bad news to start off the stream. We did not get a Mandalorian and Grogu trailer this morning. At least, not publicly. D23 is this weekend, and there was a panel this morning that was supposed to give us the Mandalorian and Grogu trailer publicly. But that didn't happen. We're going to talk about that also. Is Simon Kinberg's trilogy really episode 10, 11, 12? Some controversial reports are being thrown out there. And the weirdest one of it all, Han Solo could be returning, and Alden Ehrenreich wants to continue playing him. We got a lot to dive into and not a lot of time, so without further ado, let's dive into all of it. What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing on this fine Saturday afternoon? Yes, it is finally the end of the week. This is the weekend of D23. The long anticipation is over. And it was kind of a letdown. We got an update on the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. There was a big presentation this morning. Oh, what the? Where'd I go? There we are. There was a big presentation this morning. We got some updates on Rebuild the Galaxy Season 2, which comes out in just 20 days, I think. Yeah, 20 days until Rebuild the Galaxy. That's crazy. And we have a giveaway today. It's the last stream of the month. So as per usual, if you are a member, or if you're not a member, you can become a member right now and steal it away from one of the great members. But if you are a member, you have an instant chance today to win a pretty cool prize. And because we've been talking about Starfighter so often this week, the giveaway is something pretty cool. Check this out. Wait, what? Why won't it let me show you? Oh, there we go. Check this out. This is our giveaway today. A nice little X-Wing pilot helmet. So very on brand for Starfighter, but we'll get to that later. We'll get to that later on in the stream. That's just a sneak peek. We'll do the giveaway as per usual at the end or towards the end of the live stream because we got a lot of news to talk about today. So we talked about the cast being revealed and filming starting on Starfighter on Thursday, but so much more has come out. Leaks about the plot of this movie and who's playing what. Amy Adams' character, Flynn Gray's character. A lot has been revealed or at least leaked out there. So we'll talk about that. But we have to start with this whole Simon Kinberg stuff. Is this really going to be episode 10, 11, and 12 with this new trilogy that Simon Kinberg is writing? Well, we got to talk about it because that's been sort of the big, is that truly happening type deal this morning? And we got to put a thing behind it, okay? Got to put a pin in that. But before we do any of that, before we dive into a single bit of it, let's say hi to everybody in the chat, shall we? Let's start this stream the way it's supposed to be. My my headset is broken and it's got this little, rip it off. There we go. That's annoying. Okay. Carry on. What is up? Jack Robbins in the house. Brandon Baker, what is up? Cleve Morris, how we doing? That Dave that loves Star Wars. I appreciate that name. That's a great one. Dan the man, what's up, Dan? John Groom in the house. Pam Hill, what is up? Greg, how we doing? Darth Plagueis lives, what is up? Kyler in the building. Dylan, what is up? Haja, how we doing? Melissa, what is up? Fearless in the house. All right, if I missed you, you know the deal. Just yell at me in the chat. Let's give everybody a nice little
Hello there.
General Kenobi.
Okay. So we got to start with this episode 10 stuff. Clear the air. Put a pin in this and actually figure out what's happening, okay? The Easter egg is a broken headset? No. But there is still the same Easter egg for the last 3 streams. I was running out of ideas, guys. I'm not going to lie. I didn't know what I was going to do for the Easter egg. If you're new around here, there are 2 ways to get more credits. Well, there's a lot of ways to get more credits, but just watching you get credits, and you can gamble those credits away in the chat with Droopy McCool. But if you guess my shirt that I'm wearing before the live stream begins, which today it's this one. If you guess my shirt before the live stream begins, you get 1,000 credits. Or if you guess the Easter egg that's happening in the live stream, behind me usually, then you can also get 1,000 credits. And usually they're pretty easy. People find them very quickly. But for the last 3 live streams, nobody has caught it. And I'm pretty shocked. So we'll see if it's been the same for the last 3 live streams. So you might have to go back a little bit to figure it out. But nobody's caught it. So we'll keep it there for now. The YouTube sign? No. No, it is not. All right. Thanks, Holly. I appreciate you. I appreciate you yelling at me in the chat. I do. The tiny Grogu Funko Pop? Nope, that's always been there. No, it's always been there. All right, you guys try to figure it out, and I got to start talking about this stuff. So this is sort of what began the craziness. A couple tweets from like Star Wars Holocron and some other sources said the first installment in Simon Kinberg's planned Star Wars trilogy will be the canonical episode 10. And this made people lose their minds. Rightfully so. Episode 10, the announcement of that's huge news. But this actually isn't the case. As you can even see here, Twitter, or X, has put this message below it. The Wrap wrote that it's episode X, or episode 10, sorry, in a speculative way. It's not a scoop. The Hollywood Reporter in the past has reported that it is not episode 10, and we'll get into that in a second because they don't even say that outright either. So who is right, who is wrong, we'll talk about it in a second, but this is attached to it. Now let's go to the article. Let's go to the source. Let's see what's happening, okay? So if you click this link, it takes you to this article right about here, where we're talking about Starfighter. So first look at Ryan Gosling in Star Wars Starfighter reveals the cast adds Amy Adams, Aaron Pierre, and more. So when we take a look at this, of course, we're going to be talking about Starfighter a lot today and the Mandalorian and Grogu movie and stuff like that. But we got to read this before we get into the episode 10 stuff because it's context. Sean Levy's Star Wars Starfighter, the new Lucasfilm project starring Ryan Gosling, has started production. And this is from Thursday. Yeah, this is from Thursday. We talked about this. This was the official image that they posted with Flynn Gray there and Ryan Gosling there on a speeder. So, to celebrate the first photo from the film was shared above. And the full cast have been announced. Not the full cast, but a lot of the cast members. In addition to Ryan Gosling, Flynn Gray, Matt Smith, Mia Goth, Aaron Pierre, Simon Bird, Jameel Westman, Daniel Ings, and Amy Adams are all set to star in this movie. A loaded cast. And I've been seeing a lot of stuff that we're like, that's not that loaded. For a Star Wars movie? For a Star Wars movie, where usually they get a bunch of nobodies like Mark Hamill or a Harrison Ford or a Carrie Fisher. That sentence sounded so wrong because, of course, those people are all enormous actors now. But when they were first cast in Star Wars, they were not. Your Daisy Ridleys, your John Boyegas, they were not. Your Hayden Christensen's, they were not. So with this, for a Star Wars movie, it's a cast. It's a loaded cast. Amy Adams, Matt Smith, and Ryan Gosling alone being in the same movie is never before seen in Star Wars. But I digress. I feel a profound... Okay, so this is what Sean Levy said. We've already read that. But here's where things get interesting. Well, a video game called Star Wars Starfighter was released in 2001 and tied into the 1999 film The Phantom Menace. This is a completely new story set in the galaxy far, far away, according to Lucasfilm. Star Wars Starfighter will take place 5 years since the events of 2019's Rise of Skywalker, which makes things pretty interesting. What does the galaxy look like after the fall of Palpatine? Again? But which at least temporarily closed out the main Star Wars saga. Simon Kinberg is said to be working on a new trilogy that would start with the canonical episode 10. So what happens here, and I'll get to that super chat in 1 sec, what happens here is the company of TheWrap.com puts this in their article of Simon King in a very matter-of-fact way, in a very like, this is a fact, you better believe it type of way. They say Simon Kinberg is said to be working on a new trilogy that would start with the canonical episode 10. Episode 10. But this is not a fact. This is not confirmed by any source at all. It was rumored for a while, and those rumors have kind of disappeared, but this is not a fact at all. However, when an article like this from a company like TheWrap.com, I could go for a wrap right now, I'm kind of hungry, but when that happens, people take this and run with it. Something that's just a rumor becomes a fact very, very quickly, especially in the Star Wars universe. So, I'm here today to clear the air. This is not confirmed. However, it's not a lie either, because we don't know. Simon Kinberg could be working on episode 10, 11, and 12, a continuation of the Skywalker saga. The only thing that we know for a fact is that Starfighter is not a continuation of the saga. It's a original story with all new characters, blah, 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 blah. Standalone story. It's not episode 10. But we don't know for a fact if Simon Kinberg's is going to be episode 10, 11, and 12. And that is fully up for us to debate about. So I ask you in the chat, first and foremost, do you want a episode 10, 11, 12? Do you think the Skywalker saga should come to an end? And then whatever comes next is an episode 1? I really don't know how they're going to do this. Even with the Mandalorian, if the Mandalorian and Grogu movie is a trilogy like we're led to believe, then wouldn't it be pretty hard to title that trilogy? You have the originals, you have the prequels, you have the sequels, you have episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. What is the Mandalorian and Grogu movie? Episode 6.5? Episode 6.25? It's going to be pretty difficult, because now when you go to the next saga, which is hopefully the Simon Kinberg trilogy, or even the Old Republic. Where did I go again? Why does that keep happening? Droopy, get on that! Yeah! When you go to the next saga, which is hopefully like an Old Republic or something, what's that going to be called? Episode 1 again? That won't be confusing. But let's put up a poll in the chat. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about it. Look at you guys smashing a like on this stream. If you haven't smashed a freaking like on this stream, get on it. Do you want Simon Kinberg, great name by the way, Simon Kinberg's new trilogy to be episode 10, 11, 12? Yes or no? Should this be a brand new saga, a brand new beginning to a new story, or should it continue the Skywalker saga, even though Rise of Skywalker was supposed to be the final chapter of this saga? Should it continue with Rey being a new Jedi Order, being the leader of a new Jedi Order, her having the Skywalker name, continuing the Skywalker bloodline? Maybe there's some sort of child, hidden Luke Skywalker child, or she was impregnated by Kylo Ren, like a lot of people want that to happen. Is this going to be a continuation of the Skywalker saga, or a brand new thing? Tell me in the chat. And while you do so, let me get to the super chat. Darth Plagueis lives with a very generous $10 holla. Goddamn. I appreciate that quite a bit. Super chats, memberships, keep the lights on over here, and gifted memberships. But if you become a member today, you could have a 1 in like 100 chance of winning that awesome, cool X-Wing pilot helmet. So support the channel, but also support yourself with a cool new helmet. Okay, but super chat. No Mando trailer. Yeah. I mean, there was a trailer shown to the people there, as we knew would happen. But from what we hear, there is not a lot of new scenes in that trailer. It's very similar to the one that was shown at Star Wars Celebration a couple months ago. And no, nothing released publicly. Which begs the question, and this is the next point in your super chat, when will it be? When will this trailer come out? We are now 8 months, 8.5 months, give or take. Just over 8 months away from the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. And still, no trailer, no teaser trailer, no nothing released publicly. So I ask you, chat, when will we get the Mandalorian and Grogu trailer? I don't know. I mean, some people say maybe because the NFL season is starting this week, and the NFL, like they usually do that with Marvel movies, especially where they release the first teaser trailer during a commercial break during a big NFL game. So maybe it does not look likely. It might be a while, sadly. So we'll see. There is this sort of lull of Star Wars content for a little bit. We do have Rebuild the Galaxy in 20 days. We do have Visions Volume 3 in October. But after that, nothing for the rest of the year unless Maul gets pushed up. But nothing for the rest of the year. So maybe around that time period. But I guess only time will tell. And finally, in that same super chat says, also, this Starfighter news is so hype. Oh, yeah. We'll get to the Starfighter stuff in just a sec, but we got to talk about this episode 10 first. Indeed, we do. So, getting back to it. Do you want Simon Kinberg's trilogy to be a continuation of the Skywalker saga, episode 10, 11, and 12? Yes or no? Because right now, this is not a fact at all. It's been being thrown around the interwebs as a fact, but it is not one. This is how it was said by TheWrap.com, who, by the way, is just purely speculating here. Simon Kinberg is said to be working on a new trilogy that would start with the canonical episode 10. Boom. This is what kickstarted this whole craze online and everybody losing their minds. But this is not true. Why does my camera keep going back? Okay. Sorry. It usually only happens like once, and it's already happened 3 times, and I'm going to lose my freaking mind. Okay. Yeah. It's supposed to be that Patty Jenkins' Rogue Squadron is rolled into Starfighter. I have heard that rumor going around the last couple days. I don't know if it's true because Patty Jenkins is always like, yeah, we're doing Rogue Squadron. It's still on. So I don't know if that's still the case, but I have heard that rumor and we'll talk about it when we get there. Yeah. Nathan, what's up? How we doing? I don't see how it could be episode 10. Well, there is always a way to continue the Skywalker saga. Whether Luke had this mysterious child, if they brought in Mara Jade, that would be kind of cool. Or, like I mentioned before, Rey carries on the Skywalker name at the end of Rise of Skywalker, whether we like it or not. But she is a Skywalker, and that will continue. Oh, John Groom finally sees it after 3 whole live streams. Yes, the Thrawn pop figure and the Boba Fett pop figure were swapped. That's a very hard Easter egg, and John Groom for the win. Yep, this Thrawn one was swapped with that Boba Fett one. So shout out to you, John. You will get your 1,000 credits at the end of the live stream. Oh, Greg found it? Oh, never mind. Sorry, John. Sorry, John! Yes, Greg, you got it. Okay. But let's continue. Starfighter opens in 2027 and will be the second Star Wars movie theatrical release since Rise of Skywalker in 2019. Large blah, 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 blah. Okay. So there's that. This is what kickstarted all the chaos and has posts like this going crazy online with the X even having to say stuff like this. Now, let's go check out this Deadline article because it claims that Lucasfilm insiders told Deadline that it was not episode 10, but even that is a lie. You really got to look into these things, chat. You really got to look into it because this article is from November 7th, 2024, when the news of Simon Kinberg getting a trilogy was announced. The Star Wars trilogy deal, Lucasfilm tapped Simon Kinberg to write and produce. Remember, this says Lucasfilm insiders told Deadline that it is not an episode 10. Keep that in mind. Lucasfilm has closed a deal with Simon Kinberg to develop a trilogy of Star Wars movies. Kinberg will write the trio and produce them with Lucasfilm chief Kathleen Kennedy. I heard this will comprise episode 10, 11, 12 of Skywalker saga that began with George Lucas's 1977 first film, along with Steven Spielberg's Jaws, reshaping the global blockbuster game. Lies! Deception! More lies. Somebody get Saw Gerrera in this place. Because nobody knows who to believe. It even says at the end of this paragraph right here that, as per usual, Lucasfilm and Disney are not commenting. So all this conversation around episode 10 being real and being not real, Simon Kinberg's trilogy being the beginning of episode 10, 11, 12, it's all just speculation. It's all just rumors. Lucasfilm has not said one way or another if it's going to be episode 10. As per usual, they are not commenting. So careful what you see online, because episode 10 could be the beginning of Simon Kinberg's trilogy, but it also could not. So right now, we have no idea. So people throwing this around like it's a fact, it's just not. So with that being said, let's talk about Starfighter, okay? We put a pin in that. Episode 10 could be the beginning of Simon Kinberg's trilogy, but as of right now, it's not. Are we good? Yeah? Fantastic. Perfect. Okay. Starfighter. So, as I'm sure you're aware, if you literally have been living under a rock for the last 3 days, then maybe you don't know. But on Thursday, Star Wars Lucasfilm themselves revealed this on StarWars.com. Our first official look at Ryan Gosling and Flynn Gray in the upcoming Starfighter movie, and confirming the cast for the movie in that production has began. So we've already read this before, so we won't read all of it, but the cast is Ryan Gosling, Flynn Gray, Matt Smith, Mia Goth, Aaron Pierre, Simon Bird, Jameel Westman, Daniel Ings, and Amy Adams. A loaded cast for a Star Wars movie. It'll be a standalone adventure. The film has begun production this week. Has begun. It's an entirely original story set in the period of time never before explored in Star Wars. It'll be released May 28th, 2027. So it's 5 years after Rise. It's post-sequels. It's our first time going into post-sequels, and it's a completely original standalone adventure with this loaded cast. So that's all you really need to know. That's the news that happened on Thursday. But since then, there has been some incredible leaks. Some that add to the cast, but also some that make things a little bit more interesting in terms of plot for this movie. Because the leaks and rumors from a couple months ago were that Ryan Gosling will be protecting his nephew from these evil people. It didn't specify who, pirates, Sith Lords, we don't know. But evil people chasing down the nephew, and Ryan Gosling has to protect his nephew, and that's pretty much the only bit of plot that we had, and that was all just from a report from a couple months ago. Now, this official image does kind of confirm that, because it's Ryan Gosling and his nephew right there, so that makes those rumors a lot more valid, but we have even more. The latest and greatest from the leaks and scoops from this movie is that Amy Adams, the legendary actress, if you don't know who that is, well, clearly you've been living in a cave your whole life. Amy Adams, I'll show you who that is in a second. Most known for probably being Lois Lane in the Superman movies, Man of Steel movies, Henry Cavill Superman movies. She also, of course, is known for a bajillion different things, but Amy Adams is right here. This lady. The red hair has made Star Wars fans go crazy about her being Mara Jade. I don't think she'll be Mara Jade. But if she is, the new rumors suggest that Amy Adams will be playing the mother of Flynn Gray's character, of the nephew of Ryan Gosling, or this child. Hasn't really been confirmed that it's his nephew. Either way, the rumor is that this will be the mother of the child character. Now, why is that so important, chat? Why is that so important? Why might that be a crazy bit of news? Mara Jade. The red hair, the possibility of her being Mara Jade and having a child? Somehow, someway, all of these crazy different news headlines from Star Wars that seem to be unconnected are connected. Somehow, someway. If Amy Adams is truly playing the mom of this possible Force-sensitive child, I say possibly Force-sensitive because why else would a bunch of people be hunting down a child? If she is playing the mother of this possibly Force-sensitive child, she's redhead. Fans want her to be playing an older Mara Jade character. She could be dead by now. The rumor is she is going to have a minor role in the movie. She's not going to be a main character, but she is rumored to be, and again, this is just a rumor for now, so take it with a giant grain of salt, the mom of this Flynn Gray character. So if she's a minor role, then she might already be dead or at least missing because she's not with the child. So maybe she's already dead, but all this is pointing to this child being Luke's son, at least from these reports. Again, they could be wrong, but if this is truly the mother of the child, if she is truly going to be a older version of a Mara Jade, then is it possible that this child that Ryan Gosling is protecting is the forgotten child of Luke Skywalker? And the Skywalker bloodline goes on. And like I mentioned before, now all these seemingly unconnected headlines could be connected. Then Simon Kinberg's trilogy could be episode 10, 11, and 12, and continue the Skywalker's bloodline with Luke Skywalker's son. Now, I know this all sounds a little bit crazy, but nobody described me as sane, okay? So we love to go crazy on this channel, of course, go with the most probably improbable theories. But this one, it almost feels like all the stars are aligning. The amount of rumors about Mara Jade coming to canon over the last 6 months, and now a redheaded big-time actress comes in as a mother of a important child character in a post-sequel storyline. If this isn't the case, then I don't know what they're doing. If this is not the case, and this is just us losing our minds here, then they missed an opportunity. They missed a big-time, knock it out of the park, home run on a freaking tee. So tell me in the chat. Tell me in the chat. Do you think this is possible? You'd have to be his grandson? What do you mean? Don't do the math yet. Luke would have died 8 years before this movie comes out. Luke's kid, the kid was fathered after Luke yeeted himself on Octu. This kid is not 8 years old or younger than 8 years old. Hang on, let me pull up the picture again. Actually, let's just look up how old Flynn Gray is. Flynn Gray. If he's younger than 8 years old, then yes, there goes my theory, but he does not look younger than 8 years old. How old is Flynn Gray? How old? Flynn Gray. Flynn Gray is 14 years old and has been cast alongside Ryan Gosling, and I'm 14 years old. Meaning Luke would have, done the off-screen stuff 15 years before the events of Star Wars Starfighter. 15 years. This only takes place 5 years after the sequel trilogy. So that would give him 10 years before the sequels, or I guess 9 years before the sequels, to have a child. And that child go into hiding. and with Mara Jade. This would not. This is what I'm talking about. Fixing the sequel trilogy. I'm sure many of you don't even think it needs to be fixed. I honestly think it just needs to. It fixes a horrible word. I just need certain plot points to be explained more. This is how you do it. Stories before and after the sequel trilogy, helping the sequel trilogy itself. Luke Skywalker being on Ahch-To is a huge problem of mine with The Last Jedi. If that could be explained by somehow introducing a canon version of Mara Jade, Luke Skywalker having a child with that character, having a whole love story happen in between the originals and the sequels, and then having that fall out somehow that leads to Luke Skywalker having to go into hiding to protect his possible family of Mara Jade and this child, or for some reason, I don't know. Whatever it is that makes him go into hiding, that has to do with now his wife and child, that would be so much better to me. It would feel like a good or a better reason for him going into hiding than just Kylo Ren having some bad dreams. But that's just me. And then you can tell the story of Mara Jade before the sequel trilogy, have Luke Skywalker fall in love with her, have them have a child, maybe all in animation to make it easier with a Clone Wars-esque style show, and then have a whole story after the sequel trilogy with Mara Jade being older, played by Amy Adams, and a child of Luke freaking Skywalker. Thoughts? Opinions? Thoughts, chat? What do we think? Is this theory just too far-fetched? Is it impossible to happen? Or could it be the case that we just got Amy Adams cast as Mara Jade with a mysterious child being played by Flynn Gray, having to be protected by Ryan Gosling because Amy Adams may be dead or gone or whatever it may be? And then you can add in Luke Skywalker's love interest of Mara Jade and explain why he goes into hiding to possibly protect his entire family, his wife, his child, his sister, his nephew, to protect all of them by going into hiding instead of just seeing a couple bad dreams. Should we pull it up? I got a bad feeling about this. Nah.
This is where the fun begins.
All this trying to knit into the Skywalkers feels counterproductive to me. Let the galaxy breathe and have other families in the galaxy. I do agree with that. I think Simon Kinberg's trilogy should not be a continuation of the Skywalker saga. I don't want an episode 10, 11, 12. However, that doesn't mean I don't want a continuation of Skywalkers. Bear with me. Luke is dead. Okay? He's not coming back. He's not somehow Luke Skywalker returned. Leia also dead. Anakin also dead. However, Ahsoka Season 2, we're still getting Anakin Skywalker. In this Mandoverse time period, we're probably going to get more Luke and Leia because they're alive at the time. In the Rey movie, we'll probably still get a Force ghost of Luke Skywalker. So those characters are still going to be around. You could have new characters, Ryan Gosling, Matt Smith, Mia Goth, Aaron Pierre, and probably a lot more future new characters in the Simon Kinberg trilogy. But having a Luke Skywalker's son just be there, hanging out, he doesn't even have to be Force sensitive. He doesn't have to be. It's not a guarantee. But to have that just be there, have the connection of Mara Jade having a child with Luke Skywalker be continued in a post-sequel world, that would be awesome to me. Yeah. But hey, let's pull it up. Let's pull it up, okay? I know my theory sounds a little crazy. Holy crap, this poll is really close. Actually, I don't know if we want... Should we close the poll? Because this poll is right now 51 to 49. I'm going to keep that poll up there for a little bit. We'll see if it goes one way or the other. And that is, do you think that Simon Kinberg's trilogy will be 10, 11, 12? 52% of you say yes. Well, 48% right now say no. That is one of the closest polls we've had in a long time. So let's keep going. Dan the Man says, I think this is the best theory that could single-handedly resurrect my interest in Star Wars, to be honest. Whoa. That's some high praise. Especially if you add in Matt Smith being an acolyte of Mace Windu hunting or Darth Talon. Okay. Well, I would love to see not that, but Matt Smith play a Darth Krayt and then Mia Goth be playing Darth Talon, but that's just a dream of mine. But hey, glad I could help. The movie title could be purposefully underwhelming so that they pack it full with stars and then drop one of the biggest bombshells in Star Wars history. The title being Starfighter, I mean, I like the title Starfighter. It's not like an episodic Star Wars movie like The Empire Strikes Back or Revenge of the Sith or The Rise of Skywalker. It's just Starfighter, much like Solo. I guess it was Solo, a Star Wars story, but even still. I like it. It's a spin-off movie title. I mean, do we like the Starfighter title? Chad, do we like the Starfighter title? I appreciate you, Dustin. I think the Starfighter title seems to be liked. Yes or no? Do we like Starfighter as a title? I know there was a big debate about the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, which is still a mouthful. But Starfighter rolls off the tongue. It's kind of nice. Sounds like it'll do Solo numbers. I hope not. But it does give Solo vibes. Now, the Solo movie not performing well was for a lot of different reasons. It's the first movie after The Last Jedi, which is one of the most divisive Star Wars projects of all time. Whether you like it or not, you can't deny that. And it released in the same couple weeks as Avengers Infinity War. Avengers Infinity War made $1 billion, a lot more than $1 billion actually, and was enormous. If you're a Marvel fan, you probably understand. So Solo was kind of set up for failure being in the spot that it was released. Also, they recasted Han Solo, which was not welcomed by a lot of people very easily because Harrison Ford is, of course, the iconic character. We will be talking about Alden and Han Solo later on in this live stream, which is ironic. But it does have a similar vibe. They got Donald Glover to play Lando. They got Woody Harrelson to come in and play the Beckett. Something Beckett. Tobias Beckett. So they got a couple big stars. I guess other than that, not really. But still, they got some stars to pull in people. Alden Ehrenreich was not a star by any means. But even still, it has a similar feel to Starfighter. Now, it's hard to look into the future, but May 2027 doesn't look like it's going to have a Infinity War release. And hopefully it's coming off the backs of the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, which is going to be a success, I do believe, and not a divisive Star Wars project. Hopefully. I mean, it's Din and Grogu. They've been pretty well liked, for the most part, through their run on Disney+. But it does have very similar vibes to Solo. I will grant you that. Yeah. I'm still convinced that the Mandalorian and Grogu title is a temporary one because the true title would give too many spoilers. Interesting. That would be a crazy Uno reverse. If they were just like, if they haven't released the trailer for the Mandalorian and Grogu movie because they're going to completely change the title. I don't think so. I think we're kind of late in the race for that, being that it's only 8 months away. I don't know. I don't see them doing that. It would be crazy, though, if they dropped the trailer and the trailer was called, like, Heir to the Empire or something. Like, that would be crazy. The Mandalorian and Grogu with an asterisk like the Thunderbolts. The Thunderbolts didn't do well, though, so they might not do that because of the Thunderbolts not performing well. And with a title like The Mandalorian and Grogu, as much as it is a mouthful, it gets to the point and will put people in seats. Because The Mandalorian and Grogu. People love Grogu, kids love Grogu, and then The Mandalorian is their most successful Disney Plus series, so it gets to the point. Yeah. Yeah. I just know that Luke is a great pilot, and so was Mara Jade. Maybe some flashbacks of her and Luke finds out that Mara is alive. Sorry, peeps. We know the plot. That would be crazy. Well, it would be really cool because yes, it is called Starfighter. If the title is not about Ryan Gosling's character, if Ryan Gosling is maybe some smuggler or some just random guy, who knows? But Starfighter is in reference to the child, because maybe he is the child of Luke Skywalker, who of course is the child of Anakin Skywalker, both characters being incredibly good star pilots. Maybe the kid isn't force sensitive, maybe he doesn't grow up to be a Jedi, but he could be the best starfighter in the galaxy, and that's why it's titled Starfighter. That would be awesome. That would be incredible. Sign me up for that. Yeah. They changed the name of Return of the Jedi late in the game. True. Very late to the game. I mean, it was Revenge of the Jedi for a long, long time. Up until like months before, I think. There's posters of Revenge of the Jedi. They made all this merchandise with Revenge of the Jedi on it. And then they turned it to Return of the Jedi because Jedi don't take revenge. You know? I can't stand Grogu. Am I the only one? You might be the only one. You might be the only person on the planet, actually. Grogu's everywhere. It would be a bizarre marketing choice to change the title that has already been advertised. Well, that's the thing with the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, is it's not really been advertised yet because we don't have a trailer. We don't have any merchandise yet for this movie. So it hasn't been yet. There's still technically time for them to change it. I just don't think they will. No, I don't think so. Mandalorian and Grogu's going to pop off. Oh, yeah, it's going to make a ton of money. An absolute shit ton of money because it's their most successful brand on Disney Plus, and it's Grogu, and kids love Grogu. There was a trailer called Revenge of the Jedi. I don't know about that. I wasn't alive. I couldn't tell you. The Mandalorian and Grogu movie sounds more like a TV guide description.
This is where the fun begins.
It does. It most definitely does. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. But as I was saying, this theory of Mara Jade, the possibility of this child being the actual title Starfighter because his dad and grandfather were the best starfighters in the galaxy, and now he is too, as Luke Skywalker's child, would be insane. And honestly, if it's true, I'm kind of mad that we figured it out. Now, it could be completely so far off. Amy Adams could be playing a completely different redhead in Star Wars, and this child could be completely unconnected to Luke Skywalker. And depending on the plot, depending on how good the movie is, that could be completely fine and could maybe even be better. But when you come up with a theory that's as juicy as this, that makes this much sense because of the casting, because of this rumor of Simon Kinberg's 10, 11, 12, because of Luke Skywalker getting more story development in this pre-sequel era, it's hard not to like it. It's hard not to like it. But let's put up the poll in the chat. We left that other poll up for long enough. It hasn't budged at all. It's still 51-49. Wow. One of the closest polls we've had in a very long time. You guys are about 50-50 on whether or not you think Simon Kinberg's new trilogy will be a 10, 11, 12. I'm on the no side. I don't think it will be. I think it'll be a brand new story. Hopefully episode 1. I don't know how they'll differentiate because The Phantom Menace is always going to be episode 1. But maybe they'll call it chapter 1 or episode A. I don't know. I don't know how they'll do it. But I think it'll be the beginning of a new saga or a new trilogy in a post-sequel world. I'm hoping for the no, but we are 50-50 split down the middle. So we'll see. We shall see. All right, but let's put up this poll. Do you think Amy Adams is playing Mara Jade in Starfighter? Yes or no? If she's playing Mara Jade, you better believe that that child will be Luke Skywalker's child. Tell me in the chat. The Rey movie is episode 9. Episode 9 is the Rise of Skywalker. Yeah. Luke hooks up with Cara Dune.
Incorrect.
What? What? I absolutely do not think that she is Mara Jade. She is way too young to be Mara Jade. Mara will be in her 60s? I don't think so. Well, first of all, it's a character coming over from Legends, but Mara's pretty young in the Heir to the Empire trilogy. No, how old is Mara Jade in Heir to the Empire? How old is Mara Jade? Luke was 19 in A New Hope. Mara Jade was 17 in A New Hope. So, maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. How old is Luke Skywalker when he dies? 53. Here's where I will agree with you. Amy Adams. Let's see how old Amy Adams is. How old is Amy Adams? Amy Adams is 51. Okay. Bear with me here. Amy Adams is reported to, again, this is all just a rumor, is reported to be a minor role in the movie. If she is the mom of this child, it's likely that she's dead. So the only reason we get scenes with Amy Adams in them would be flashbacks to when she was alive, obviously. So these would be flashback scenes. So Mara Jade would be in her 50s, which Amy Adams is. So that would make sense as to why flashback scenes of Mara Jade would have her at the age of 51 or 50s, in her 50s. It would be flashbacks. Now, again, I'm not saying this is a perfect theory and it's going to happen. It's just a theory. But yes, if it's Mara Jade, if Amy Adams is playing that character, it will be flashbacks. She will either already be dead or not around anymore because this child is on his own. Yeah. Or she could just, be aged up, I guess. Why not? And then could be aged down for Mandoverse stuff. If they casted Amy Adams to play young and old Mara Jade, oh my God! That would be incredible. That would be incredible. Whew. But tell me in the chat, this poll right now is about 55-45. Again, a very close poll in the chat, but we'll leave it up for a little bit longer. Okay. So that was the crazy theory on that. There was more Starfighter news. Let's get to that. So this other bit of Starfighter news that somebody brought up earlier in the live stream was that the new rumors suggest that Rogue Squadron, the movie from Patty Jenkins, which we talked about earlier this week, actually, it's been an insane week for Star Wars news. But Rogue Squadron, the Patty Jenkins movie that's been on and off for the last 6 years, probably even more than that, actually. Nope, about 6 years. The movie that's been on and off for about 6 years. The rumor is that has been rolled into or has been morphed into Starfighter. So that Rogue Squadron may no longer exist. The problem with that report is that we just recently heard from Patty Jenkins that this movie is still on. Now, maybe she has a part in making this Starfighter movie. She's not the director, obviously. Sean Levy is. Maybe she's a producer on it. Maybe I don't know. But I think this rumor comes from the fact that these two projects are very similar. I always thought that Patty Jenkins' Rogue Squadron movie would take place in the post-original trilogy time period before the sequels. So maybe they could still work. But I think this rumor just comes from the fact that these two projects are very similar. Starfighter, Rogue Squadron, they're both going to be about, hopefully, big, cool space battles. Maybe X-Wings, maybe not. I don't know. Patty Jenkins was definitely going to be about X-Wing pilots. So I tend to disagree with this report, this theory that these two projects have been combined into one. I just think if Starfighter is a success, then Rogue Squadron might get made. Because I don't think Rogue Squadron's being made right now. Yeah, I don't think so. But tell me what you think in the chat. Do you think that Rogue Squadron is gone? Do you think it's been morphed into Starfighter? And Patty Jenkins will not get her Star Wars movie? Tell me in the chat. Okay, and I see you guys losing your minds still about this Mara Jade stuff. So let's talk about it. Mark Hamill is 73. How could Luke be 53? I just looked it up. When Luke dies in canon, he's 53. He was 24. He was 24. So 5-year-old Luke. Hang on, what? He was 24. So 5 years older than Luke. What? Oh, okay, I get you. The time like years has passed is pretty damn close to Earth years. I don't know what to tell you. I'll pull it up again. How old is Luke Skywalker when he dies? We'll do the math even, just for you. We'll do the math. Born in 19 BBY. Okay, so what year does The Last Jedi take place? What year does The Last Jedi take place? Get out your calculators, chat. Okay, so 34 BBY. 34 plus 19. 53. Somebody say 53? 53 years old, Luke Skywalker. Because The Last Jedi takes place in 34 ABY. 34 plus 19 is 53. The actor, well, here's where you're probably getting lost in translation. The time between the original trilogy ending and the sequel trilogy beginning is shorter than the time between Return of the Jedi releasing and The Last Jedi releasing. That's about it. So it's similar to the same time period, I guess, but it's not the same. So Mark Hamill was always playing a younger version of himself. We'll put it that way. In A New Hope he was, and in The Last Jedi he was too. Yeah. I just can't imagine them having to explain a bunch about Luke and Mara's love lore into the story about a brand new character. I'm glad you brought that up. Star Wars has always done something very, very cool. From the beginning, from episode 4, A New Hope, 1977, George Lucas drops us right smack dab into the middle of a story. He talks about the Clone Wars. He talks about Anakin. He talks about all this stuff that happened before the movie ever began. And as an audience member, you're going, I want to see that. What the hell's the Clone Wars? Who is Anakin Skywalker? I want to know all of this stuff. Right? I want to see Obi-Wan in his prime. I want to see the Republic before the Empire came to be. That could be what they're doing here with Starfighter. Introducing a bunch of characters, not just one with maybe Mara Jade, but a bunch of characters that have been around. And then you can go back, as they always do, give them backstories, like Baylan Skoll, for example. Baylan Skoll, we get introduced to a very older Baylan Skoll. We learned that he survived Order 66. People want to see that, know where he was. He knows who Anakin is. He's got so much mystery to his character. We're thrown right into the middle of Baylan Skoll's character arc. Actually, probably towards the end, because who knows if he's going to survive this Ahsoka Season 2. But you want to know more about the beginning. So if they introduced Mara Jade at the end of her story, then you could go back and tell the beginning. It would be like Obi-Wan in A New Hope, or Baylan Skoll in Ahsoka. You could go back and tell the beginning. Or, like many people want, is more Dooku and Qui-Gon, you got the end of those two characters' stories in the prequel trilogy. And now with comics and books and all that stuff, you get the beginning. Or Yoda. You get Yoda's ends too, and then you get, I guess, more of his end, because he's a million years old. But that's sort of what I think is going to happen here. If they do introduce Mara Jade for the first time ever in Starfighter, then we'll just have to backtrack and get her whole background, all that great stuff. But that could happen in the Mandoverse. And the Mandoverse is still happening. We have the Mandalorian and Grogu movie next year. We have Ahsoka Season 2 next year. Hopefully it's going to be the beginning of a trilogy, which we'll talk about in a little bit here. But hopefully it's going to be the beginning of a trilogy, which could involve Mara Jade and Luke Skywalker. Thoughts? Brett says, do you think Mara would have been at the temple when Kylo destroyed it? No. Well, she can't be. Because how would she have escaped? I think that maybe Mara died a lot sooner than we think. Like, this kid was born, and maybe she died in childbirth. Sound familiar? It's like poetry, it rhymes. I don't know why Luke wouldn't take care of the child then. Maybe he thinks the child died too, and it didn't. I don't know how they do that. But it's far more likely that Luke either already thinks that Mara died or Mara had just died. Imagine that. Mara had just died, and then he senses that Ben Solo's having these nightmares. So he is grieving with the fact that he lost possibly his wife and child, and then he has to deal with the fact that his grandson, or his nephew, is falling to the dark side. And Palpatine is planting these visions in his head. Again, already, to me, that's so much better. That makes so much more sense to me. That's just me. Stop killing Mara in these theories. Just let it be creative, please. She's going to die. I mean, she's not going to be alive in this movie. Why would the kid be by himself? Unless she's like, I don't know, dead. I'm just saying, when it comes to Mara Jade,
I got a bad feeling about this.
I don't think she'll be alive. Okay, I did miss a super chat. Hang on. Another Mike who loves Star Wars. What's up? With a very generous $2 holla. I appreciate that. Says, sup, Mike? I'm late to the party. New shirt? No, it's a repeater. I just don't wear it that often. It's nice. I like it. I always thought that it would be Ahsoka that would take Luke's offspring into hiding. Interesting. Well, Ahsoka's kind of, held up on Peridia. But I do like where your head's at. Why would they bring in such a fan-favorite character only to kill her off that quick? Yes, I get where you're coming from. Okay, I do. But Starfighter will be the end of her story. You get to come back and tell her whole story in the Mandoverse after you've already given the mystery of her character. So in Starfighter, maybe they don't explicitly say that she's dead, just that she's gone, and we don't really know where she is. Whatever it may be. Maybe she's off looking for Luke. Who knows? But they leave it a mystery. And then we can go back and get the whole origin story for this character. Imagine how crazy it would be if they just threw it in there in Starfighter when talking about this kid's mom, that her name is Mara. They don't even say Mara Jade. They're just like, oh, and his mom, Mara. And us crazy Star Wars fans, the normies probably wouldn't get it. But we'd be like, oh my God!
This is where the fun begins.
I pressed the wrong button. But you know what I mean. We would lose our minds. They don't even have to explain the fact that she's Mara Jade. They just have to say that. And we'd lose our minds. Yeah. I want Mara Jade to be a bad guy turned good. Well, that's how she is in Legends. I don't know how close they will get to that in canon. She could still be the Emperor's hand, but that would also make for a lot more story explanation for the character, because we've gotten a lot of original trilogy content and pre-original trilogy content, and Mara Jade is nowhere to be seen. Those types of characters have been replaced with Inquisitors and other things. Yeah. I think if Amy Adams plays Mara Jade, we should get flashbacks on how Mara met Luke in the first place. Oh, and met their first fight? Well, you will get some of that. But I'm more so saying they're just going to establish the character that as she exists. And then go back in the Mandoverse stuff, maybe even a Luke Skywalker Jedi Temple show, where they have more time to explore that in an animated project and explain who the character is. Mara Jade could be like the next Ahsoka Tano. Now, Ahsoka Tano is a completely brand new character in the Clone Wars. She doesn't have any Legends background. But because of the Clone Wars, she becomes a fan favorite character, ends up being in Rebels, comes to live action in Mando, and gets her own show. Mara could go down a similar path. She has the added bonus of already being a character that's established in Legends, and she could get more explanation and more storytelling in an animated project like a Luke Skywalker Jedi Temple that's multiple seasons that can grow the development of the relationship between Luke and Mara, much like the prequels does, or the Clone Wars does, with Ahsoka and Anakin, Ahsoka and Padme, Ahsoka and Obi-Wan, so that when things happen, because Ahsoka's not in the prequel trilogy, she's not in Revenge of the Sith, it would be very similar to Mara Jade being in this entire animated series and not being in the sequel trilogy, because Ahsoka's not in the prequels or the originals, and Mara Jade would not be in the sequel trilogy. It'd be the exact same. The same way that Ahsoka's arc is so important to Anakin's fall to the dark side, the fact that his Padawan left the Jedi Order, left him behind, she puts the blame on herself because she should, because Anakin falls to the dark side without her. Not entirely her fault, but you know what I mean. So the way that her arc is so important to Anakin's fall to the dark side, but she's not in a single movie, could be the same way that Mara Jade's arc is so important to why Luke goes into hiding, but she's not in a single movie. Not only is it like poetry, it rhymes, but it also makes perfect sense. Luke Skywalker would have a relationship because he's not the same way as the old Jedi were, to not have attachments. He's not that way. He does have attachments. That's made very clear in the original trilogy with his father and his sister. Yeah. I'm all for Mara Jade being made canon, but I don't think that Amy Adams is playing Mara Jade. Okay, that's also a possibility. I think the kid is Broom Boy. No. Broom Boy, well, I don't think so. That would be really crazy, honestly, if it is Broom Boy. Hang on, let's look up Broom Boy, Last Jedi. I don't think they would do that. Just pure and simple that the Last Jedi wasn't their, most popular project. Oh, he kind of looks like him, chat. Damn it. Okay, let's see. So here is Flynn Gray. I guess not. A little bit. I can see it. Here is Flynn Gray, and here's Broom Boy. Broom Boy, Flynn Gray. Kid from Starfighter, kid from The Last Jedi. Oh my God, they have the same exact eyes. Oh no, chat. Is this the return of Broom Boy? Let's do the math. How old do you think Broom Boy is right there? Like 8? Maybe less? 6? 7? 8? 9? 10? Chat? Let's look it up. Do you think that they have that? Do you think if we look this up, it'll tell us? How old is Broom Boy? Might be the weirdest Google search of the day. How old is Broom Boy in The Last Jedi? 7 years old. Okay, so they do know. Wait, I think this math is adding up because it's only a couple months between, or maybe a year between Last Jedi and Rise, give or take. So this would be like 6 years. Maybe 7. And 7 plus 7 is 14, and this kid is 14? Oh no. The math is mathing, chat. The one time I don't want the math to math, this kid could be playing Broom Boy. Oh no. So this kid's 14. This kid is 7. Starfighter is supposed to take place about 5 years after Rise of Skywalker. In The Last Jedi, it takes place about a year-ish, a little less than a year, I think, before The Rise of Skywalker. So if this kid's 7 and this kid's 14, that math is almost exactly mathing. It might be Broom Boy. It might be Broom Boy. It would make him force sensitive, that's for sure. This Broom Boy was force sensitive. But Broom Boy didn't have a mom. At least not that we know of. Wait, Amy Adams wasn't Broom Boy's mom? I don't know. It could be Broom Boy. I don't know. Tell me in the chat, do you want it to be Broom Boy? Why is this bad news? It's not horrible news. I'm just not a fan of Broom Boy, you know? Not the biggest fan of Broom Boy. Well, it's not that I'm not a fan of him. I just don't think he should be the main character of the next Star Wars movie. You know? Nobody would have an uncle. True. It would make sense if it was Broom Boy, but no way. Mara is too young. Again, she'd be dead. These would be flashbacks. Yeah. I would love to have a connection to Broom Boy. Really? Huh. Okay. Why would it be Broom Boy? Well, just purely based off the fact that the ages line up. The math is mathing. And they kind of look similar. They at least have the same eye color and brown hair and color skin. I mean, there's not much that is similar with these two, but there's not much that isn't similar with these two. You know? They're practically the same person. Like, if you told me that this kid, when he grows up, looks like this, I'd be like, yeah, that checks out. Yeah, that checks out. The Broom Boy verse is coming. Okay. Okay. How many times has Mara Jade's name been said on this stream? If I never hear her name again, it'll be too soon. Well, Mara Jade, you know. Mara Jade would be great. Love me some Mara Jade. I don't know. Do you guys think that this is Broom Boy 7 years later in Star Wars Starfighter? Now being the main kid being saved by Ryan Gosling? Yes or no? What do we think, chat? Amy is way too young. She's younger than Mark Hamill. That wouldn't be... Yeah, well, no, it would be before the sequels. Yeah, the flashbacks would be to before the sequels. But if it is... If Amy Adams is playing this kid's mom, then how would he remember her? I gotta brush up on my Broom Boy knowledge, but isn't he like just stranded? Isn't he like sort of like an orphan type, like he's working on the stables? We had the original trilogy with the farm boy. Why not have the next trilogy be a Broom Boy? I like the way you think. I like the way you think. Genie from Tahini, what's up? I don't think it's a bad idea, but he is probably going to be hated like Ahsoka and Ezra when they first came out. Oh yeah, this will be... If it is Broom Boy, that's a connection to the sequels immediately, and fans aren't going to like that. I do think this movie will have some connections to the sequels, maybe like a Poe Dameron showing up or something, which is going to be met by, you know, backlash. Anything connecting to the sequels is going to be met by backlash. But I think even if it's not connected to the sequels, it's going to be met by backlash. There's no Star Wars project that will ever come out for the rest of time that will not be met with a divide in the Star Wars fandom. There's never going to be 100% of Star Wars fans that agree on anything. Look at Andor, for example. I personally believe that Andor was a freaking masterpiece, but not every Star Wars fan agrees on that. And I think The Mandalorian is probably the closest we'll ever get with Mando Season 1, but even still, people don't like Mando Season 1. It's not that many people, but there is still a bunch of people. So even if this kid is Broom Boy, it's not going to change the fact that people aren't going to like this movie regardless. Actually, perfect example, I made a short about this movie yesterday, I think, 2 days ago, whatever it was, 2 days ago, about this cast being announced. In the comment section, we're pretty much like, don't care, Disney's making it, never going to watch it, blah, blah, blah. Now, I still, of course, have to take a step back and go, that's just a small portion of the Star Wars fandom. It's not the majority. It's not the people who love Star Wars. It's not all that greatness, whatever. But that is still a common thing that happens. It's a conversation that happens online, and it's the people who are screaming the loudest. So Disney's never going to release a project that's not crapped on. You know? Yeah. I feel like people who do that are just people who don't like anything. They're just hating to hate. I can't speak on that. I mean, I don't know these people personally, so I have no idea. You know? And there you go. Darth Cat just said in the chat, Andor. Like, what are you going to do? You don't like Andor? I can't do anything about that. I'm not going to sit here and try and change your mind either because, you know, what's the point? I liked it. You don't? That's perfectly fine. We both can live on. We both enjoy the rest of our Saturdays, I'm sure. Mara, a name I haven't heard in about 30 seconds. It's a great name. I think the movie starts with Poe Dameron cameo with Ryan Gosling as his wingman and ends with a Rey cameo and the kid joining her Jedi Academy. Honestly, wouldn't be opposed to that. I feel like if you're going to have a Starfighter movie literally be called Starfighter, it has to involve Poe Dameron at some point, right? You know? Yeah, no? Well, my opinion is Ahsoka Season 1 was amazing, but a lot of people complain about it. Oh, there you go. Yeah, Ahsoka Season 1's my favorite piece of Star Wars content ever. And yeah, that's a very different opinion from a lot of people, you know? But I'm okay with that. I know I'm crazy. I know I'm crazy! You think that there'll be enough normies who know who Broom Boy is for it to make sense? Well, I don't think it needs to make sense. Or I don't think you need to know that he is Broom Boy for it to make sense. Yeah. So, no. And I think they could explain that too. Just by going like, yeah, I worked in the stables on Canto Bight. And then people might make the, you know, make the connection in their heads. We'll see. Yeah. I hate the haters trying to be positive. Well, hate is a strong word. Yeah. At least no red eyes or blue skin. It's not Thrawn's son. True. We can actually, you know, cut out a bunch of characters here. It's not Thrawn's son. It's not Ahsoka's son. It's not Harrison Dula. Actually, we can't even do that because Harrison Dula's son is not green. Yeah. I'm always late. Nice. Mara Jade can't be the same character as she was at that stage, so why use the name? Again, it would be a dead Mara Jade. This would be flashbacks. Or you could just age her up. They could rescue him from the Sable. You know? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, but there was one other casting rumor that was thrown around there the last couple days, so we got to talk about this too. The big one being the actress named Eva Mendes. Does anybody know who Eva Mendes is? She is also 51 years old. But as you can see here, the big news and the reason that this is happening and being thrown around is because she is married to Ryan Gosling. So she's been in a lot of stuff. Actually, not lately. I believe she's retired from acting or something along those lines, or she hasn't been in anything in a long time. But she's in a lot of very famous movies like Hitch, Ghost Rider, The Other Guys, Fantastic Four, Fast and Furious movies, Training Day. She's in a lot of big-time movies, but hasn't been in one since it looks like here 2012 with Ryan Gosling. Yeah, hasn't been in a movie in 13 years. Oh, wait, 2013. Okay, so 12 years. So this could be her return to acting. Now, the lead of the movie is her husband, and I think that's probably a big reason as to why these rumors are being thrown around there. But it'd be kind of cool. I mean, she if you've seen her in things, she's in all those movies that we just listed off here, but she looks something like this. I guess this is what she looks like now. This is what she probably looked like, or what she did look like, not probably look like. This is what she looked like in The Other Guys. This was her in The Other Guys. This is her seemingly now. So she could be making a return to this movie, and the rumor is that she will be the wife or girlfriend or love interest or whatever it is to Ryan Gosling's character. So I don't know how that would go, but possible that Eva Mendes comes out of retirement or out of not being in movies to play a character in Star Wars alongside Ryan Gosling, her husband, which would be pretty cool. I heard she was going to play a villain. I have not heard that, but it's going to be a loaded villain cast. We already got Matt Smith, Mia Goth confirmed to be playing villains. But we don't know if they're going to be pirates or smugglers or Sith Lords. We don't know what level of villainy they will be having. But we'll have to wait and see, I guess. So, that's the latest and greatest on Starfighter. It does seem like everything is all connected, especially if Amy Adams is playing Mara Jade, but that's still just a theory for now. Oh no, I just closed the freaking tab I wanted to read. Why'd I do that, Jet? Hang on. Damn it. Damn it. How do I get that back? I don't know if I can. Let's see. Don't you hate it when you accidentally press X on a... Oh, no, it's right here. Cool. Cool. So we do have a little bit more news when it comes to Starfighter, and then we'll move our way over to Mando in the lack of Mando news because of no trailer today. Well, there is some Mando news. But even still, Ahsoka Season 2, we got some news about too to end off the stream, so don't forget about that. Updated, Star Wars Starfighter first look revealed filming starts and official cast, including Ryan Gosling, Amy Adams, Mia Goth, and more. This was the article from Thursday, but the cool thing about... Oh, you can't see it. The cool thing about Star Wars Newsnet is they update their articles, so there is the new stuff in here too. So take a look at this. StarWars.com has announced the start of the production as well as full cast for Sean Levy's upcoming Star Wars Starfighter movie. Previously announced, Ryan Gosling and previously reported Mia Goth will be joined by Flynn Gray, Matt Smith, Aaron Pierre, Simon Bird, Jameel Westman, Daniel Ng, and Amy Adams. And I think the reason that they put Amy Adams at the end is not just because she's a big name, but also because her role is going to be pretty small. Like, I think in order, it's going to be Ryan Gosling and Flynn Gray being the main two, with Matt Smith and Mia Goth being the main villains, and then it goes down from there. And Amy Adams is a big star, but she won't have a big role in the movie. Roles for the actors have not been disclosed, but Hollywood Reporter added that Amy Adams plays Flynn Gray's character's mom, possibly Mara Jade in Luke Skywalker's love child, but that's just a rumor for now. Just a theory for now. But here's the update. Reports from Jeff Snyder said on the Hot Mic podcast via his newsletter that the award-winning cinematographer Claudio Miranda is shooting Star Wars Starfighter. Miranda was the DP for Life of Pi, for which won an Academy Award, as well as Top Gun Maverick and this summer's F1 movie. So there's actually more to that list. Hang on. There is more. Did I save it? I thought I saved this. What? I didn't? Okay, never mind. There was more to that list. Oh, wait, no. That was... Okay, never mind. That's for the Ahsoka Season 2 news. Never mind. So, yes. Claudio, who did Life of Pi, Top Gun Maverick, F1, all that greatness, is going to be the cinematographer for Outlaw. I'm so sorry, for Outlaws. For Starfighter. The reason that is really cool, specifically, is Top Gun Maverick. Top Gun Maverick is this fighter pilot movie. It's all about these cool fighter pilots that... cool fighter jets that have these awesome, cool flying scenes. This is Starfighter. We're assuming that we're going to get a lot of dogfights in space, or dogfights at least in the atmosphere, with X-Wings and other starfighters in Star Wars. the greatest news we could get for that is that the Top Gun Maverick, huge box office hit from a couple years ago, a couple summers ago, the same cinematographer from that movie is also going to be the same one for this Star Wars version of Top Gun Maverick. So that's great news. That was the latest and greatest on that. We already read that. So yeah, that was the other news with that. Got its cinematographer, same one who gave us Top Gun Maverick, and hopefully we'll get to see the same awesome fight sequences from that movie in Star Wars in the galaxy far, far away, which will be awesome. So Claudio. Ow, that hurt. Sorry, chat. Sorry, chat. Ow, that really hurt. Okay, moving on. Did we get to? I think that's all for Starfighter. I know it's a lot, but I have to double, triple check. Double, triple check. Double, triple check. All right, let's see. I think that's it. Claudio, we got to that. Talked about Amy being the mother. Talked about episode 10. We might not get to everything today. All right, let's keep going. So, to put a pin in it, here's the cast for the movie. Ryan Gosling, Amy Adams, Aaron Pierre, Mia Goth, Matt Smith, Flynn Gray, Simon Bird, Daniel Ings, and Jameel Westman, all with pictures to their faces. So there you have it. She is playing the mother of this child. At least that's the report. Could be playing Mara Jade. That's the theory. And these two right here are playing the villains. And that's about all we know. The rest is just our speculation. So let's move on here to the Mandalorian and Grogu. The letdown of the day, but not really. So a trailer was shown to the people in attendance at D23, as we assumed would happen. But no trailer released publicly. Now, when will that trailer release? I have no idea. As Darth Plagueis Lives pointed out in his super chat very gracefully earlier this live stream, I don't know when the trailer will be. Hopefully soon, but I have no idea. Tell me in the chat, when do you think the first official teaser trailer for the Mandalorian and Grogu movie will release? Tell me in the chat. But we do have this description from this morning. The Mandalorian and Grogu movie is described to be their biggest adventure yet. Now, this sounds like a duh, Mike. Obviously, it's the movie. It should be bigger than ever. True. But let's not forget the adventures that Din and Grogu have gone on over the course of these 3 seasons, and the Book of Boba Fett too. They've fought bounty hunters like Cad Bane. They've fought the Pike Syndicate in the Book of Boba Fett. But they've also fought Moff Gideon, the Remnant of the Empire, and took back their home world of Mandalore, fighting Moff Gideon 3 times. They've even gotten face to face with Luke Skywalker, getting to see him be all badass, taking down a bunch of Dark Troopers. I can never remember if they're Dark Troopers or Death Troopers. Sorry. So this being their biggest adventure yet means it has to be bigger than Moff Gideon, the Darksaber, taking back Mandalore, fighting a whole Pike Syndicate, bigger than Cad Bane in live action, bigger than Luke Skywalker showing up at the end of the series. It has to be bigger than that. Now that's pretty hard to do. We're going to have Stinky the Hutt. That's been confirmed. He's going to be a gladiator now for some weird reason. The rumors that Embo, the bounty hunter, will be in there too, which will be kind of similar to Cad Bane coming to live action. Not as cool, but still cool. Hopefully you'll have some Grand Admiral Thrawn, the big blue meanie, being the heir to the Empire now. But it being their biggest adventure yet is not, it's an obvious statement, but it's something that they have to live up to because they've been on some pretty big adventures. So yeah, that's really the only update that we got for the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. The trailer that was shown today was very similar to the one at Star Wars Celebration. Not a lot of changes there. So I'm assuming that trailer will be released publicly when it does happen. It just, who knows when that is. Yeah. Got it? Okay, good. Perfect. Moving on to the Ahsoka Season 2 news. I'm going to save the Alden stuff for last. Moving on to the Ahsoka Season 2 news. We have which sounds like not the biggest deal, but pretty cool. So take a look at this. Ahsoka Season 2. Sammy Sheldon, known for her work on V for Vendetta, Ant-Man, Eternals, X-Men First Class, will be the new costume designer following the passing of talented costume designer Shauna. I don't even want to say it wrong, so just Shauna for now, who won the series an Emmy with the first season. So many of you probably know, of course, the passing of Ray Stevenson, Bale and Skull, but also Shauna, who passed away, who was the costume designer for Ahsoka Season 1, who won an Emmy for that. So Ahsoka Season 2 has brought on Sammy Sheldon, who did V for Vendetta, the Ant-Man movies, Marvel's Eternals movie, and X-Men First Class to do the costumes for Ahsoka Season 2. And this was the first look that we got at any costumes for Season 2. Ezra Bridger here, looking as good as ever. But then, yeah, these were some of the costumes from Season 1. Yeah. So there you have it. That's the sort of Ahsoka Season 2 news. Now, we're going to do the giveaway in a second here. So if you are not yet a member, this is your last chance. By the way, say hi to yourselves in the chat. Say hi to yourselves in the chat. This is your last chance to become a member. Of course, becoming a member, you get instant access to a members-only portion of the Discord. You get instant access to these giveaways at the end of every single month. And we're doing, of course, more members-only live streams. I know, we haven't done one in a while, but we're definitely getting back into them either this coming week or the following. It'll have to be this week, I guess. I'll let you know. I'll let you guys know in there. So if you are not yet a member, you can become a member right now and get a chance to win this awesome, cool X-Wing helmet. That is right there. So you can have a chance to win that. Or you could even gift memberships to make it even more hard, because gifted memberships are very, very generous. I appreciate that quite a bit. So there's that. This is your final chance to become a member before we give this away, because it takes me a second to set this up. Got to pull up the wheel and pull up the list of members here. Pull up the list. See how many members we're at right now. Check it out. Check it out. Let's see. Members, see all members. Okay, so currently we have 109 members. All right, we are up actually a little bit from last month, which is pretty cool. Over 100 is crazy. We have 109 members. So if you see your name on here, we have all the way at the top, 109 would be Holly, because she just rejoined. Shout out to Holly. And then it would go down from there. So 109, 108, 107, blah, blah, blah. Oh my God. We're getting a bunch of... Oh, you gifted a member. Oh, I'll get to that one sec. And then number 1 all the way over here would be Cat's Paw, all the way down there, and then up from there. So let's introduce these new members. And then I'll have to refresh this page because we'll gotta have a bigger number. Hang on, chat. Holy crap. Greg with a very generous 5 gifted memberships. Holy crap. I appreciate that quite a bit. Darth Thor, Joe, Chris, Be Cool, and Jedi Journeys. Welcome to the people who love Star Wars. Welcome to the people who love Star Wars. I appreciate that, Greg. That's very, very generous. And we have 5 new people, so that would put us to 114. Missed the watch parties? Oh, we're definitely going to do some watch parties. Well, for Rebuild the Galaxy coming up in 20 days, but also rewatch parties for the members. So we might do a Rogue One rewatch party, but yeah, okay. Sorry, we got distracted. So last chance for reals this time. Last chance to become a member, gift a member, whatever it is. Let me refresh this so that we got all the members there. Refresh. Okay, cool. Now they've been added. So now it's 114, and 114 will be Darth Thor, and then all the way down to number 1 being still Cat's Paw. All right. All right. Let's change the wheel number to 114. Last chance for real chat. So here's how it works. We're going to spin this wheel that has a 1 through 114 chance, random number, and whoever gets the number wins this incredible prize. Starfighter pilot helmet for the Starfighter news. I mean, this thing is awesome. This is actually from Galaxy's Edge, I believe. So it's straight from Lucasfilm themselves. And I've put this on actually before when I was at Galaxy's Edge. I don't have one of these, but still. Yeah. Are guest members eligible? Yes. Guest members who've been gifted guests, yeah, you are eligible. Yes. Okay. Wish yourselves luck. Good luck to me. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Rory McCann mentioned that there'll be lightsaber duels in the dark on Screen Rant. That's pretty cool. Well, there'll definitely be lightsaber duels in Ahsoka Season 2, but in the dark is pretty cool. All right, let's spin the wheel. Spin the wheel. Here we go. Drum roll, please. Oh my God. 76. That is right down the middle. Almost exactly right down the middle. That's going to be a pain to count to. You couldn't have picked like 1 or 114? I got to count all the way to 76? Yeah. Okay. Do you think that YouTube has fixed the thing where it doesn't scroll up to the top? Nope, it didn't. Okay, that's even better. All right, so starting at 15, because the first 14 are on the other page. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 is Connor. 21, 22, 23 is Chris. 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. 29 is Amanda. 30, 31, 32, 33 is Aaron. 34, 35, 36 is JC. 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42 is I, Haja. 43, 44, 45, 46, Pam Hill. 47, 48, 49, 50, Safari Tano. 51, 52, 51, 52, 53, 54, Star Wars Democracy. 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, Michael Henderson. 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, Catherine. 66, 67, 68, 69. Let's explore the Force. Nice number. 70, it's 76, right? 70, 71, 72, 73, 70, 74, 75, 76, Cole Reader. Cole Reader, one of the original members, actually, who just rejoined after the fact. Cole Reader, shout out to you, number 76. I don't know if he's here today, but Cole, shout out to you. Let me write that down so I don't forget. Cole Reader, you have won the X-Wing pilot helmet. So Cole, hit me up on the DMs on Instagram, on TikTok. I mean, I guess on TikTok, sure, why not? On Instagram, on X, on Discord, anywhere. Hit me up and we'll get that out to you as soon as possible. If you don't hit me up within the next week and a half, I'm going to have to give it away again to somebody else. So Cole, you better hit me up. Shout out to Cole. Love to see that. Love to see a familiar face get the giveaways. That's very, very nice. Love to see it. Cool. All right. Perfect. Giveaway done. Now let's get to the Alden news. What we've all been waiting for. Han Solo, the return. So, first and foremost, tell me in the chat, do you want Han Solo to return? And if so, where would he return in? Well, it seems only likely that there would be 2 places he could return. One, in the Mandoverse, whether it be the Mandalorian and Grogu movie or at some point in this Mando trilogy or in Ahsoka Season 2 or wherever. In the Mandoverse or in the Lando series. Because the Lando movie has been turned into a series. Donald Glover is still making it. But tell me in the chat, do you want more Han Solo and do you want it to be Alden Ehrenreich? The conversation, the debate of all debates has gone across the Star Wars fandom, and that is, should you deepfake or recast the original trio? Especially in this post-original original trilogy, time period, do you want to deepfake them or recast them? That's been the debate. And now that debate might come to a close if Alden Ehrenreich comes back as Han Solo. So tell me in the chat. And actually, let's pull this up. Let's pull it up, chat. It'll be really funny if you all just like became members right now, like after the giveaway, or you just gifted a bunch of memberships after the giveaway. Not me begging for gifted memberships. Okay. By the way, do you think that Amy Adams is playing Mara Jade in Starfighter? 55% of you say no. 45% of you say yes. It's pretty damn close. Okay. Let's pull it up. Do you want Alden I don't know how to spell Ehrenreich. Alden Ehrenreich. How do you spell Ehrenreich, chat? EHREN. And now I'm lost. How do you spell it, chat? Ehrenreich. Okay, thank you. Greg, you're the best. Just write baby Solo? No. Okay. Thank you, Fearless. You're also the best. Do you want Alden Ehrenreich to come back, or to return, I guess, to return as Han Solo? Yes or no? Tell me in the chat. Tell me in the chat. And while you do, let's see what he had to say about it. Because Alden himself gave an update. Alden Ehrenreich reveals what it would take for his Han Solo return to Star Wars. Solo, a Star Wars story, isn't the worst Star Wars movie. Feel free to debate that in the comments section. Well, first and foremost, I must preface this by saying I like Solo, a Star Wars story, quite a bit. I think it's an extremely underrated Star Wars project, especially if you go back and watch it now. Like we mentioned earlier in the live stream, it obviously got hurt by the fact that it was released in the same month as Avengers Infinity War. It got hurt by the fact that it was right after The Last Jedi, which is a very divisive Star Wars project. But I think this movie is a very solid Star Wars movie. The story itself is really good. The special effects are, of course, now special effects, so they're really great. But the new characters are great, and the old characters still live up to their hype. Chewie, Han, Lando, but even the new ones of Kira, Beckett, even bringing back Darth Maul at the end. It was awesome. It's a great movie. So I think it gets a lot more crap than it should because it didn't make a lot of money. That's the big thing. But tell me in the chat, are you a Solo fan? Tell me in the chat. Okay. But Disney has much more difficult time getting audiences on board with it than it did with other Star Wars movies. Disney has made 5 Star Wars movies. The three prequel trilogy movies, Solo and Rogue One. Of those 5, 4 made $1 billion. The 5th one is Solo. So expanding the canon of Star Wars with Star Wars The Force Awakens worked. And dipping back into the time period of the original saga with Rogue One also worked. But the origin story for Han Solo, one of the most iconic and well-realized characters in all of science fiction, well, apparently that was a step too far. Disney even found an actor who looked and talked a lot like vintage Harrison Ford in star Alden Ehrenreich, but people still weren't into it. Solo's main issue didn't really have anything to do with the cast or even the story. It was more about the unappealing or unnecessary mythology reveals, like Han's last name being Solo because he's alone, or the Millennium Falcon having a notch in the front because it was supposed to carry a big triangle thing, an escape pod. But yeah, honestly, the Solo name thing gets thrown around there a lot. How else would he get his name? You know, unless his name was just Han Solo. But him being Solo is sort of what makes that character work. It's the appeal of the character in the first place, at least at the beginning of the original trilogy. And then the Millennium Falcon having a escape pod, or I guess with the Ghost it's called the Phantom, but having a secondary ship, I don't even know what to call it. That makes sense. to me. I think it's cool, but I don't know. Maybe that's just me. There's still some juice in the character in that time period that it lives in, which is why Disney is actually contemplating a spin-off of Donald Glover's Lando series for years. They're not really contemplating it. They announced it, and it's just been in limbo because Donald Glover's been a busy man. But there's actually also still a chance that we might see Alden Ehrenreich's Han Solo again someday. So here's what it would take. When speaking with Collider, Alden Ehrenreich, who recently appeared in Ironheart and in Weapons. I haven't seen either of these projects, but from what I've heard, Weapons is really, really good. I think it's a new horror movie, and Ironheart was not. I have not watched it yet, but I've heard bad things. Actually discussing the possibility of putting the black vest back on and playing everyone's favorite stuck-up, half-witted, scruffy-looking nerf herder once again. Ooh, scruffy-looking. So here's what he had to say. Your job as an actor, in a way, is to use the energy that's happening around you. And sometimes that energy involves stress. But characters are under stress. There are a few times characters who are just having a ball. So it's English Mike. Sometimes. As long as it's an environment where people feel safe. I don't really know what he's talking about here. As for whether he'd play Han Solo or not, yeah, what was he talking about there? I don't know. That has nothing to do with Han Solo. So, as for whether he'd play with Han Solo again, if the call came in, Alden leaves the tiniest crack in the door open with the possibility saying this. It would have to really, really be the right version of it. Obviously, Han Solo. There's only a few places where he could be, and that's pre-originals or post-originals. And that always brings up the idea of deepfake or recast. So first and foremost, tell me in the chat, do you think the original trio, Luke, Leia, and Han, should be deepfaked or recast if they're going to tell a story with those two in a post-original trilogy time period? If Luke, Leia, and Han were to show up in a Mandoverse trilogy, which is rumored to be happening if the Mandalorian and Grogu movie is a success, would you want them to be deepfaked or recast? Which side are you on? Because Alden Ehrenreich says it would have to be really, really the right version of the character. What does that mean? So, he's putting it on Disney. Rather than sitting by the foam with his boots on and his hair feathered, which is the healthier position to take, playing Han Solo after Harrison Ford was a thankless job because Harrison was unbelievably good as the character. It was always going to be impossible to please everyone. That's the story of Disney's life. That's the story of Lucasfilm's life. But nostalgia is so powerful that fans are constantly coming back around on things they disliked when they were first released. Just look at the reappeal of the older Fantastic Four movies, or the excitement for the return of Jennifer Gardner's Elektra in the Deadpool and Wolverine movies. That's also very true. I mean, Jennifer Gardner's Elektra movie, I think, is one of the lowest ranked thing on Rotten Tomatoes. And the Fantastic Four movies, when they first came out, they were crapped on too. And now they seem to have revitalized, I guess. Disney's current run of Star Wars stories takes place almost exclusively in the post-Return of the Jedi or pre-Force Awakens period. But you can pretty much guarantee that fans would get at least a little hype if Alden Ehrenreich's Han showed up somewhere. It would be easy for him to appear in the second season of an Obi-Wan Kenobi series. Maybe. Provided it doesn't muck up the established timeline in the original Star Wars movie. But the first season of the show wasn't too concerned about that. So, however, disagree with that too. However, Disney does it. Alden Ehrenreich is at least hypothetically interested, assuming that it is worth it. So, where could Han show up? A Kenobi Season 2 could be a possibility. Where we last see Han, he's going to Tatooine. But I think this post-Return of the Jedi, pre-Force Awakens time period is the most likely spot. But here's the reason that this could be an issue. You have Harrison Ford as Han in the original trilogy. You have Harrison Ford as Han in the sequel trilogy. Then you have right in the middle Alden Ehrenreich as Harrison Ford, or as Han Solo, sorry. Does that really work? I'm seeing a lot of recasts in the chat. Should we pull this up? Because I feel like usually it's a 50-50 poll. I don't know. Let's see. Let's pull it up. By the way, 88% of you say you do want Alden Ehrenreich to return as Han Solo. That's actually ridiculously high. And I agree with you. I think I'd love to see him come back as Han. I just don't know if a post-original trilogy time period Han would work. Let's pull it up. Do you want, or let's put it this way. If Luke, Leia, and Han were to return, they should be deepfaked, like Luke Skywalker is in the Book of Boba Fett, in The Mandalorian, like Hayden Christensen is in Kenobi and in Ahsoka season 1 and 2 probably. Wait, what? Why did it do that? Or they should be recast. Bring in Alden Ehrenreich as Han Solo, bring in somebody else as Luke Skywalker, and bring in somebody else as Princess Leia. What do we think? My opinion on this still remains the same, okay? I think that if you're going to do a Luke, Leia, a Han in live action in the post-originals, deepfake it. Then you can tell a lot more story with the three characters in animation. You can bring back Alden for a pre-originals Han, but having him come back for a post-originals would just seem weird to me. And that's just me. That's just me. Tell me in the chat. Tell me in the polls. Can I get some good cups follow orders in the chat, please? Bum ba. Ooh, that had ice in it. Nice. Okay. So, with that being said, as you tell me in the chat, Alden is open to it. If it is really, really worth it, if it's the right version of the character, as he says. So the door is open on his side. There just have to be the right story for it. Holy crap, look at all those good cups full of orders. That's crazy. There have to be the right story for it. And only time will tell if that story exists. Scoots McGee, nice name, says, it's so fun playing Alden's version in Battlefront 2, sorry. He's so funny. Well, that's true. I forgot that he was even in that. I forgot about that. You can have Alden play Han, Sebastian Stan play Luke, and Billy Lord play Leia. I don't know. Billy Lord, of course, is Carrie Fisher's daughter, but I don't think she looks similar enough to do that. I liked the Millie Bobby Brown casting. She did look very similar. You'd have to do it pretty soon, though, because these people are just getting older. Sebastian Stan is a lot older than Luke would be now, no? Yeah. Can we suspend disbelief? Give actors a job? Well, there's still actors playing the roles. Mark Hamill still comes back to play Luke Skywalker, and there's a younger actor who plays Luke that they just deep fake over. So there's still actors getting jobs, actually 2 for 1. You're getting 2 actors a job for 1 character. And I'm sure if they're going to deep fake Han Solo, they bring back Harrison Ford. They'd have maybe Alden be the face that gets deep faked over, but I don't know. And Sebastian Stan does look a lot like Luke, too. I'll give you that. Sebastian Stan's a big-time actor now. You'd have to pay him quite a few pennies to play the role, you know? Yeah, no? Hey, Mike, is the Good Cups Fall Orders episode 3 cup the second iteration of the Faded Cup from the being the first? Yes. Just wanted to make sure I have that correct version of the cup. Yes. This is the second Good Cup that follows orders. The first one's actually still right over here. I gave him retirement. You know, he was He deserves it. Look at him. He's done his time, you know? But this was always the first Cook Up the False Orders. This was the one that dumped the blue milk on my head. This one's actually bigger. The new one's bigger. And it's Revenge of the Sith. But retirement is suiting him well over there. He's enjoying it, you know? Yeah, that cup has seen some things. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. But right now, this poll, this poll is a lot further off than I thought it would be. 67% of you say recast. Okay. Well, 33% of you say deep fake. So it is very much recast today. But we'll see if that changes. I'll leave it up there for a little bit longer. We'll see if that changes. I really wonder what Lucasfilm is thinking in the backgrounds right now. Lucasfilm, if you're watching, and we know that you are, let us know. Give us a sign if you're there, first of all. But tell us, what are you thinking? Alden? Deepfake? Thoughts? Opinions? Who's the actor that they deepfaked for Tarkin? I have no idea. Somebody has dots on their face. Let's see. Who plays Tarkin in Rogue One? Guy Henry. This guy. So Guy Henry plays the role, and then they digitally create Tarkin's face onto it. Looks something like this. So this is what they do for Mark Hamill, for Luke Skywalker. This is what they would have to do for Harrison Ford. Yeah. The technology is getting better to do it more realistically. I mean, look at Hayden Christensen, for example, in Ahsoka Season 1. Looks incredible. Yeah. Yeah. I think Sebastian Stan even mentioned that he wouldn't mind wielding Luke's lightsaber. Oh, I'm sure he wouldn't. Who would? Who wouldn't be like, nah, I don't want to play Luke Skywalker? Are you kidding me? That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah. Sebastian Stan is twice Millie Bobby Brown's age. Yeah, that's the problem. Sebastian Stan's a lot older. And Millie Bobby Brown's actually too young at this point. No, she'd actually be pretty close to the age. No, she wouldn't. She'd still be young. But she wouldn't be that young. Sebastian Stan would be a lot older. So you'd probably be deep faking Sebastian Stan's face as well. Deep faking Leia would be hard. Well, they'd bring in her daughter. Her daughter doesn't look exactly like her, but they could deep fake her onto it. Actually, they used her daughter for Rogue One, no? The end of Rogue One, when they deep faked Leia, that's her daughter under there. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, Tarkin in Rogue One is incredible. And then Krennic be like, we stand here. It's my achievement, not yours. It's a great line. It is great. Oh, yes. Oh, my God. I almost forgot to get to this. Okay, let's get to this before we get on. So Screen Rant. Everybody's favorite. Screen Rant posted this article about an hour before showtime today. 20 best sci-fi TV shows in the past 20 years. And I did not read this list on purpose because I love going through these Screen Rant articles with you guys. So let's see their top 20 over the past 20 years. Will Star Wars make the list? Will The Mandalorian or Andor or anything be on this list? Top 20 best sci-fi shows in the past 20 years. Before we even read this, what do you guys think is number one? If I were to put a number one, it would be Ahsoka, but that's just me personally. But more so of a let's try and think of a sci-fi show that both had success, big audience, last 20 years. I mean, the only one I can think of biggest success-wise is The Mandalorian. But we'll see. All right, let's do it. 20 best sci-fi TV shows in the past 20 years. Sci-fi is an extremely versatile genre that can be interpreted very differently depending on who is writing the material. The best older sci-fi TV shows have often leaned into the genre's tropes, like aliens and space travel. However, the more recent sci-fi TV shows often redraw the line between reality and imaginative science, which has made sci-fi one of the most creative genres on TV. All right, here's the top 20. Resident Alien. Is that Alan Tudyk? It is. I have not watched this, so I have no idea what's going on here. It just looks to me like a very, very bad CGI alien, or maybe even a puppet holding a lunchbox. So I have no idea. The Umbrella Academy. I watched some of the Umbrella Academy. I don't think I watched the last season, but it was pretty good. It was pretty good. So that's number 18, I guess. Number 17 is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Are these honorable mentions? No, these are, yeah, okay, this is. Number 17 is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. That kind of falls off towards the later half of the seasons. The first couple of seasons are really good. Once they get to time travel and stuff, it's weird. Humans, never heard of this. Humans is the 16 spot. 15 is the OA. I've heard really good things about the OA. I've never watched it. Might have to put it on my list, though. You guys tell me it's really good. Okay. Battlestar Galactica could be up there. That could be up there. Star Wars isn't considered sci-fi. Maybe to some, but it definitely is. Okay. Number 14, are we on? Is Fringe. I don't even know if I've heard of Fringe. Oh, it's a successor to the X-Files. Okay. Sure. Number 13, I don't even know what we're on. 14, Dark. I've heard really good things about Dark. It's on my list for things I got to watch, but there it is. Number 13 or 12 or something along those lines. The Man in the High Castle. Never seen it. A lot of these I've never seen. Okay. Attack on Titan. This should be way higher. This honestly could be number 1. Give me a 1 into the chat if you've seen Attack on Titan. Give me a 1 into the chat if you've seen Attack on Titan. This should be number 1. Honestly, unless it's a Star Wars show at number 1, this should be number 1. I watched this maybe a year ago. Something like that. I binged the whole thing in a couple weeks. This is one of the greatest shows of all time. This is one of the greatest shows of all time. The fact that it's not even top 10 right now is kind of crazy. Absolutely insane. Okay. So there's that. It's been nominated for 88 awards. And it's not even in the top 10. Foundation. Never even heard of this. Never even heard of it. And it's higher than Attack on Titan. What are we doing? What are we doing? Oh, Stranger Things. I didn't even think of that. That should be high. Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Haven't tapped into any of the Star Trek, so I don't know. Severance. This should be higher. I know it's only 2 seasons, but Severance should be way higher. Severance is unbelievably good. If you have not tapped into Severance yet, watch it immediately. Right after the stream ends, Severance, number 1. Go. It shouldn't be number 1 on this list, but it's only 2 seasons, so it's not done yet, but watch it. Sense8. Don't know this. Show from the creators of The Matrix. Sounds like it could be good. Orphan Black. Never heard of this either. It's not like I've not watched these shows. I've never even heard of these shows. So, Black Mirror. Okay, Black Mirror. Black Mirror is pretty good. I have not watched all the seasons of Black Mirror, but it's more so just each individual episode is a different story, so it's kind of different. It's not better than Attack on Titan or Severance for that matter. Okay. Love, Death, Robots. Never seen it. I've heard of it, though, so I don't know if it's any good. Andor. Okay, where are we at now? Are we in the top 10? I don't even know. Hang on. Let's see. Oh, I don't want to keep scrolling because it'll pick us. Andor is in here. Okay. It's at least in here. That's good. I think we're in the top 10 now, so it's at least top 10. With a 96 critic score on Rotten Tomatoes, it is the highest rated Star Wars show. Okay. Andor's on the list. We got a Star Wars project. Stranger Things. Depending on how this ends this year, it might go down as one of the greatest shows, or it already is one of the greatest shows. It might go down as the greatest show of all time to many people if it sticks the landing. If it sticks the landing. So that hasn't ended yet. That's the idea. Doctor Who. Haven't really tapped into Doctor Who at all. I know it's been running for a very long time, so I can't really say on that. The Expanse. I don't even know what this is. We're in like the top 5 right now, aren't we? How? What? You're telling me that this show I've never even heard of before is better than Andor, better than Stranger Things, better than Severance and Attack on Titan? My God. This is number 1? This is number one? Hard sci-fi focuses on scientific accuracy. The Expanse is arguably the best hard science fiction show ever made. The Expanse centers on the missing persons case against a backdrop of fragile partnership between Mars and Earth. I've never even heard of this. And you're telling me it's the number one sci-fi show over the last 20 years? Over Stranger Things and, well, that means Andor's what, number 4? 1, 2, 3, 4. Andor's number 4. Over Stranger Things, Andor. I've never heard of this, but you guys are hyping it up in the chat. Black Mirror, Attack on Titan, Severance. I guess Severance isn't done yet, but still. That's crazy. Screen Rant, you crack me up. Every single time you make a list of something, it's always horrible. But what are you going to do? It's one opinion to the next. But there you have it. That's greatest science fiction series in the last 20 years. Obviously, The Expanse. Duh. Why did none of you guess that? Are you kidding me? Duh. Okay. By the way, if Luke, Leia, or Han is to return, they should be 62% of you say recast, 37% say deepfake. So we're a little bit more on the recast side of that poll. I'm still on the deepfake side. Before the originals, maybe recast like Alden. But I'd rather them tell the majority of their stories in animation, like they did with the Clone Wars. And we go from there. Yeah. Stop everything you're doing and watch The Expanse. I think I have to. If they're putting it number 1, might have to. And I've never even heard of it. Crazy. If Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. counts as a show, then why not Loki? Oh my God, yeah. If Loki counts, it should be in the top 5. Season 1 and Season 2 of Loki? Come on. Come on now. Mando wasn't on it. Loki wasn't on it. Ahsoka wasn't on it. That would be on my personal list, you know. Okay. But I do have to get on out of here. Shout out to Cole Rita. If you're not here right now, again, hit me up. You won the giveaway, which is a Starfighter pilot helmet, because we talk a lot of Starfighter now. But yeah, a shit ton of crazy news. Although there was no Mando trailer today, we still got a ton of stuff. Episode 10, not officially happening, but Simon Kinberg could be working on it. That's all just a rumor for now. Starfighter news coming out the wazoo. Possibly Mara Jade. But that's just the theory. Just a theory. Or Broom Boy, for that matter. Alden Ehrenreich says he wants to come back as Solo, possibly if the stars align in The Expanse. It's the greatest science fiction show in the last 20 years, according to the Screen Rant. But if you have not already, smash a freaking like in this stream. Huge shout out to another Mike who loves Star Wars, Darth Plagueis Lives, and Greg for the very generous super chats and memberships. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Smash a freaking like in the stream on your way out if you have not already. How many likes do we have, chat? Am I gonna be upset? Am I gonna be upset? Actually, that's not too bad, but let's go. Come on. Let's get some likes on here. And until next time, may the Force be with you. Always. Oh, yeah. What a great stream. What a great show. You guys are the absolute best. I appreciate you all so much more than you'll ever know. This was quite the live stream. I mean, we went well over 2 hours today, which we don't usually do, but there was just so much news. I mean, we were all over the place, and somehow we connected it all. We connected Star Wars Starfighter to the Mandoverse and episode 10 and 2. I guess we didn't connect Han Solo, but, you know, Han Solo could be in the Mandoverse. What are you going to do? Okay. Maybe we'll try again next time. But until next time, hope you have a great rest of your evening, great rest of your lives, and good night, everybody.